Happy Monday, not an oxymoron, not around here. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday as well. March 11th, how's it going? Well, it's kind of like spring out there, and that's going to continue for a couple days. I mean, depending on where you live. I mean, it's cold in the Northeast, especially with that wind, but at least the snow's out of here. And that's going to improve. Thunderstorms for the middle of the country, and then a big change coming. Those of us that like winter in March might like what I have to say towards the end of this video. But today's forecast looks like there's a lot of wind on the East Coast, and there's cold air still up in New England. So this wind with that cold air is very freezing out there for some people. Red flag warnings, though, that's our big news across the center of the country. I did forget to mention, though, northern New York into Vermont, even parts of Massachusetts. We're looking at either still winter storm warnings or winter weather advisories with those lingering snow showers. But again, that'll be clearing the area today. Okay, so middle of the country, it's a southerly breeze. It's warm, it's dry, high fire danger. Please be careful with anything that could create a spark. Winter storm warning there on the Montana side of Yellowstone Park. And then for other parts of the interior Northwest and also Northern California, winter weather advisories scattered about and some wind issues as well. Today's surface does look like this. There's that lingering snow in New York and Vermont, heavy snow possible there, lighter snow around that. And then you get into the plains, and that's where our critical fire weather is possible today. Texas Panhandle into northeastern New Mexico, up through the Oklahoma Panhandle into Kansas, and a little bit of eastern Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska as well. And that's going to be expanding eastward, I think. Tomorrow, we'll see. It's not going to be as windy tomorrow, so thankfully. Pacific Northwest, it's a mixture, except for the heavy snow in the Cascades of Oregon, Washington, Siskiyous of Northern California, and a little bit of the Sierra Nevada of Northern California. Rain on the coast. Today's high. Getting very warm in the plains with that southerly breeze. Of course, that's bringing the fire danger with it. But we have 70s all the way from Texas through Kansas into Nebraska and Iowa, and dropping off into the 60s, northern South Dakota into North Dakota, 50s and 40s. So, I mean, quite warm across the plains with that southerly breeze. The southeast on the cool side after all that rain and behind the system, but 60s, mid 60s is nice. You know, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Dakota. But getting colder as you head up the coast, 60-ish for North Dakota, and then 50s and then 40s and then 30s. And again, don't forget that wind. West Coast, kind of cool for the Northwest, 40s to near 50. California, Northern California, 50s, but then Southern California, you get in the 60s. Like I said, kind of cool for this time of year. Southern Arizona, fantastic as usual. What is that, 72 for Tucson, 80 for Phoenix. Highs tomorrow, watch this. You can see the higher temperatures shifting eastward and getting warmer in Texas, 80s now. We're seeing some 80s in Florida as well, and 70s return to the southeast and up the central coast, the central coast, the east coast, and even New England starting to warm up into the 60s and then 50s and 40s reserved for up in Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont and northern New York. Plains quite warm. I mean, mid 70s for Kansas, but turning a little cooler, South Dakota and up into Montana, and still a little cool on the Pacific Northwest, but actually a tiny bit warmer for Oregon, Portland at 50 instead of 40s. California getting a little bit warmer, especially Southern California and Southern Arizona, stellar. Surface for tomorrow, thunderstorms starting to bust out now in the Midwest, trailing back towards Oklahoma, Arkansas, eastern Texas, and Louisiana. A little bit of that critical fire weather for far west Texas, extreme southern, southeastern New Mexico, places like Carlsbad, and then Wink, Texas, Balmorhea in there. So it's a small area, but critical fire danger, so be careful there. Pacific Northwest storm moving a little further inland with a large area of a mixture of precipitation. That's snow for Yellowstone into Montana and Idaho. Heavy snow for parts of Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Northern California. And you look at that cold front, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, parts of Montana. That's some chilly air that's dropping southward. Wednesday, that colder air doesn't get too far south, but does bring a mixture of rain and snow for South Dakota, North Dakota, into western Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. And behind that, it's snow and then heavy snow for Wyoming, Colorado, and northern New Mexico. Thunderstorms for the central plain, or I should say, the central to northern plains and Midwest. And then down in Louisiana, Florida, Mississippi, some thunderstorms down there as well. And we're expecting possibly some severe weather with those Midwestern storms. It's the marginal risk, so it's not a big risk. And we're not looking at tornadoes here, but could have some damaging wind and some large hail, especially Missouri, southern Iowa, southeastern Nebraska, eastern Kansas, into, say, Tulsa, Oklahoma, down towards Dallas. And the lighter green is your, regular thunderstorms. And you never know when one of those will go severe too. So, there's a slight risk there, but this is not a dangerous situation by any means. But there could be some big hail in that green area, the dark green area. Now, Thursday, this is far out, and we're looking at a 15% chance of severe storms. Dallas is kind of the bullseye here, but getting down into Austin, over to Shreveport, Louisiana, parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma. And when we're talking about, Thursday already, a possibility of severe weather, this area bears watching. Keep it in the back of your mind if you're in the Big D or Austin. Say hi to my son, and keep an eye out to the weather as we get closer. I'm sure your local TV weather people will keep you informed as we get there. All right, let's take a look at the GFS, because I want to take this out in time, because we're going to see a flip-flop in temperatures. It's actually going to start to turn cold again for the eastern 2/3 of the country for the second half of the month. So like where I live in western Iowa, there's a couple, 3 chances of some more snow as we get closer to Easter, which is the 31st this year. All right, so we're starting now. This is our snow still happening in northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and you see these isobars close together. We have some strong gusty winds here with this cold air in place. So it is cold in New England today, especially with the wind chill. We see the warmer air moving northward with that southerly breeze into the plains, and then cooler in the Pacific Northwest with that system moving on board. So as we get to noon today, so this is an hour and a half from now or so, we see that trend continuing. Snow lightening up in New England, but still windy and cold region-wide. All the way down to Virginia. Meanwhile, a big area, a big blob of rain moving on shore for Oregon and Washington. And that changes the snow as you get into higher elevations, now moving into Northern California. You can see the wind getting lighter here in the Northeast, and these blue lines lifting northward, so warming up a little bit, a little relief from those wind chills. But further inland, Pacific Northwest, scattered snow showers, rain along the coast. This is taking us into Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday noonish, a little before noon, West Coast time, scattered snow showers, rain along the coast. And we see our colder air lifting northward in New England, so improving conditions here, as our warm air in the middle of the country also moving a little bit east, expanding eastward. As we get further into the day tomorrow, here's where we start to see our thunderstorms. Now, I didn't show you tomorrow's severe weather. There is a slight risk in a small area, and this is it. So isolated severe, a slight chance, not a big chance, but some of these storms in Missouri, Illinois could have some large hail, gusty, damaging winds, but we're really not looking for a big outbreak tomorrow. The snow does get heavy, though, in Colorado, Wyoming, like we showed you on the surface map, with scattered snows behind that, as the colder air from the west starts to move now into the plains. So it's going to get interesting here by Wednesday. We're expecting thunderstorms, and you can see that storm forming and lifting northward. So showers and storms in here by Wednesday, probably afternoon, evening, with some thunderstorms possible. And again, some of these could be severe. Southern Iowa into Missouri and Kansas and Oklahoma and down Texas. And behind that, behind this cold front, we do see snow continuing in northern New Mexico up into Colorado, parts of Utah and Wyoming. This is Wednesday late in the day. And as we get into Wednesday, say midnight or so, we still have some showers here coming down in Iowa with maybe some rumble of thunder for Mason City, and then some rain expanding into the Ohio Valley with some showers and storms down in Louisiana, Arkansas, but nothing too serious here. Pretty heavy snows, though, for the mountains of Colorado. And as we get into the day on Thursday, this is Thursday morning, and then Thursday afternoon, this low is cold enough on the north side to bring some pretty decent snows for Wisconsin into the UP of Michigan. Rain further south, and then we're watching for Texas and parts of Oklahoma and into Louisiana, Arkansas for a possible severe weather outbreak on Thursday. And you can see those storms popping up and lining up from Tulsa back to Dallas, scattered down near Austin, and then out towards Tyler and Paris. So keep an eye out here. Some locally heavy rain, some rumbles of thunder, Mississippi, Alabama. This is late in the day Thursday. Snow coming down Colorado, out in the plains even, down into northern New Mexico. Ski season not over in Taos. That's good. Snowing in northern Arizona as well. And as we get into the day on, well, this is late Thursday night, or getting into Thursday night, you see how big these showers get. Definitely some heavy rainfall here in Oklahoma near the Red River and into Arkansas, and some storms now moving into the Memphis area, Illinois and Indiana. Again, this is Thursday night. Heavy snow for Colorado and New Mexico and Arizona and parts of Utah. And this clash of temperatures is really blowing up these storms and this colder air invading southward. Remember the showers and storms we had in Iowa, for example, with this storm that's lifted north, we're starting to see some of that cold air spill in behind it. So I know the second half of our week is much cooler than today. We're supposed to be in the low 70s. Anyway, heavy rain moving into Arkansas and into parts of Tennessee, also Missouri. This is Friday morning now, and heavy snow, Colorado into New Mexico especially, but lingering back towards Utah and northern parts of Arizona. Meanwhile, our low, well, it was our low on Wednesday. By the time we get to Friday, it's mostly rain showers for Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York State, and a few other showers here in New England. But this is the biggest, these are the two big games in town. Our area of storms with a low forming now in western Tennessee, western Kentucky, very heavy rainfall back into Arkansas, parts of Louisiana, Mississippi as well. And our heavy snow moving into the plains. So Clayton, New Mexico, for example, Pueblo, Colorado, Colorado Springs, lighter snow for Denver, but out in the plains now seeing this snow. And then, of course, in the mountains of New Mexico, northern New Mexico. Meanwhile, showers in New England, heavy rain continuing now for Louisville, Lexington, Bowling Green, back into Nashville. Look out for some heavy storms. This would be Friday mid-morning, if this comes exactly true on the timing. And then the storms, I should say the snow continuing for the plains of Colorado and northeastern New Mexico. And as this system, both of this activity, as it moves further east, we're going to see cold air dive southward. But persisting snow, it's going to be really heavy snow for Colorado and New Mexico. Another round of showers and storms. Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, getting into Florida a little bit. Some heavy rain, maybe southern New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland. This is midnight Friday here and into Saturday early morning. Things starting to quiet down. But this low here in Canada, driving cold air southward, we're starting to see this cold front now moving through Nebraska, moving through Iowa at the just in time for the end of the weekend. So this is Saturday night into Sunday. Ahead of it, we're seeing some showers, some pretty heavy rains. Texas, Louisiana, now Mississippi, into Missouri. And watch this cold air continues to dive southward, especially on the eastern side of the Rockies. And we had a saying they still have a saying in West Texas, there's nothing between us and the Canadian border but a few barbed wire fences. And so that cold Canadian air is diving southward all the way into West Texas. And the northern plains and the Midwest starting to feel the effects of that. Meanwhile, showers and storms in Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and Kentucky. This is Sunday morning, so it could be a rough time of it Sunday morning getting to church in the Bible Belt. Some lighter rain now in the Ohio Valley. This is Sunday, still morning. Cold air diving southward through the plains into the Midwest and into Texas. Kind of dips into Texas and then stalls out. Heavy storms for the south. A little bit of snow up here in the UP of Michigan. As we get into the end of the weekend, we see some of that snow now in parts of New England, mostly like northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And our thunderstorms moving into the Carolinas now. This is Sunday night after dark. And, you can see our cold air. Sorry, Texas, it didn't dive all the way into Texas, starting to get shunted eastward a little bit. But the bullseye of that cold air, pretty close to where I live. So starting out next week on the cold side, this is midnight Sunday night into Monday morning, and then a line of storms. And you can see that cold air, the center of the cold air, now over Wisconsin, moving into northeastern Iowa, and that cold air dipping into the Great Lakes. And ahead of that, we're seeing showers and storms lining up as we get further into Monday. And those move right up the coast into the Carolinas, Georgia, northern Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, all getting soaked. And let me back up one, because you see some light snow here after this frontal passage in the Ohio Valley. Parts of Kentucky that were getting soaked are now getting some light snow, half the calories of our regular snow. Snow up into New York and Pennsylvania. So this is flip-flopping our pattern. And it's starting to look like, and I'll show you this here in a second, the second half of March could be on the cold side, or at least cool side, for the eastern 2/3 of the country. So as we get into early next week, this is Tuesday now, you can see that cold air moving further east. So another bout of winter temperatures, at least, into New England. But this is all the way into South Carolina, freezing temperatures, North Carolina. So keep an eye out for that. You're getting used to spring right now. Don't get too used to it, because you know how it is with spring. You can get just about anything, and sometimes you do. Another storm up here in Canada with some light snow around it, bringing some more cold air into the northern plains. This is Tuesday, and some snow for Montana. And I'm just going to go through this quickly now, because you can see there's an area of showers some snow showers possible for Iowa into Nebraska. This is like Thursday of next week. So, we're talking, this is the 22nd, right? A week before Easter. And as we get into, and you can see the showers and storms for the southeast, you can see this cold air hanging out in the north. And then another area of snow. This is 1 week before Easter, diving through Iowa. So, of course, with a grain of salt, this is the GFS model. We're 10 days out or more on this particular forecast. But the trend, I would say, the trend is your friend. Cold air for the eastern half of the country for the second half of March. And that is what we're seeing on our 8 to 14 day outlook. This is precipitation. So your above average precipitation, the above average chances of above average precipitation for the south. So all the way from Southern California through the southwest, through the south, and then moving up the coast, the East Coast, all the way up into, say, Delaware. And then dry for the middle of the country. Another, say, above average area could be Montana into Wyoming, and also the eastern Great Lakes. Dry for the Pacific Northwest. Here are the temperatures expected from the 18th through the 24th. So this is still a week before Easter, but a week. This is the forecast that I showed you on the GFS. This is actually included in some of that. So these cold temperatures for the eastern half of the country for the third week of March, and we'll see if that carries into Easter week, and above average temperatures for the West Coast. All right, fun hanging out with you on a Monday morning. Hope you're having a great day. So we'll do it again tomorrow, assuming I have time during tomorrow's lunch. Thanks for all the likes and the subs. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in the Weather Mike. Have a good one.